The day Victoria Sterling's company went public, she made two announcements. One about her empire, and one about her heart. On that glittering stage, she didn't call her husband's name. She called Ethan Cole, her assistant. She slipped a diamond ring onto her finger, a ring she proudly showed the world, while the wedding band I'd given her 4 years ago sat forgotten in a drawer. The company wouldn't be here without Ethan, she declared, her voice steady, her smile perfect. And Ethan, basking in her glow, took the microphone. From this day forward, he said, Victoria and I will be leading this project together. The crowd erupted, investors cheered, flashes went off like fireworks. And me? I stood in the shadows, fists clenched in my pockets, before slowly, finally, letting them go. 4 years of marriage, erased in an instant. That night at home, I made a phone call of my own. A man like Mr. Peterson doesn't join just any company, but when I promised him the best compensation package in the city, he agreed. He'd be on his way soon. And that's when Victoria walked in. Her purse hit the counter, the cheap engagement ring sparkling under the light. She had never once worn mine. Said she was allergic to metal. But Ethan's ring? That apparently her skin could bear. She questioned why I left the event early, accused me of trying to embarrass her. I answered coolly. She didn't need me. After all, she had Ethan. For a second, guilt flickered in her eyes. But then came the excuses. The IPO, the buzz, the investors. She said it was all strategy. I knew better. Investors had already been lining up for months. She wasn't fooling me. And yet she still tried. Sat next to me on the sofa, smelling faintly of cedarwood cologne. Ethan's scent. I noticed the faint mark on her neck, the kind she tried to hide behind a turtleneck collar. My eyes told her I'd seen enough. But she changed the subject. She talked about proposals, about Ethan's brilliance, about giving him control of the project while I handled the technical scraps. I told her flatly, if he's that capable, why not let him handle the technical side too? Her smile faltered. She snapped, called me childish. Said I was mixing business with jealousy. As if my anger wasn't justified, as if 4 years of my devotion could be outweighed by 3 months of her assistant's charm. Then she ordered me, like always, run me a bath. I'll need a massage later. That was our routine. My role. Her high-end house husband. But for the first time, I refused. I'm tired, I told her. If you want a bath, the bathroom's right there. The shock on her face was almost laughable. She shouted after me, but I was already behind a closed bedroom door. The next morning, she surprised me. Offered me a ride to work, something she hadn't done in 4 years of marriage. Not once had she allowed us to arrive at the office together. I thought maybe it was guilt. Maybe she was trying. But 10 minutes later, the car slowed. Ethan Cole stood waiting on the corner, waving like he belonged there. He slid into the passenger seat without hesitation, smirking at me. First time seeing you join us, he said, voice dripping with mockery. I ride with Vicky every day. And in that moment, the truth I'd suspected crystallized. This wasn't new. This wasn't sudden. This was routine. My wife had been choosing Ethan every day while I was left out in the rain. Ethan leaned back with that same smug, triumphant look he always wore. Like he'd just won a silent game I didn't know we were playing. He joked about Vicky getting him a company car, even poked fun at my driving, before tossing the real jab. You're not upset she drives me around every day, are you sincere? I didn't even have the chance to answer before Victoria cut in, her voice sharp and dismissive. It's just a ride. He doesn't care about little things like that. I turned my gaze from the window and locked eyes with Ethan.
Calm.
Expressionless. Right.
That was all I said.
Nothing more. My quiet indifference clearly unsettled them both. Victoria's patience snapped. She glanced at the tower ahead, her voice icy. I'll let you off at the next corner. It's not far from the office. You can walk the rest. Even today, after giving me one rare ride, she couldn't bear the thought of anyone discovering our marriage. She would rather humiliate me than risk her image. But Ethan, ever the actor, leaned forward, the picture of false generosity. Come on, Vicky. We're almost there. Just let him ride with us. His words softened her instantly.
Fine.
You can get out in the parking garage. With Ethan at her side, she felt untouchable. To the world, it would look like a kind-hearted couple giving a colleague a lift, nothing more. I didn't listen after that. My thoughts were already miles away, circling around one plan: my resignation. When the car finally slid into the underground garage, Ethan stepped out first, then me. The morning rush filled the air with chatter and hurried footsteps, but no one looked at me. Their eyes were all on Victoria and Ethan, hands intertwined as they walked into the building like a power couple. Inside, I slipped my resignation letter into a stack of paperwork HR was sorting through, termination notices for the interns. The manager didn't even glance at it. He signed off, assuming I was just running errands. Then, with a broad smile, he clapped me on the shoulder. You and Mr. Cole, you really are CEO Sterling's left and right hands. I smiled faintly, not out of pride, but because I knew how wrong he was. In that moment, I was already gone. Back at my desk, my phone buzzed. A message from Victoria. 2 movie tickets. Her olive branch. We haven't seen a movie together in so long. Let's go tonight. I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. The tech department is clear tonight. I can go after work. I'll wait for you at the theater. But I wasn't planning on watching her movie. I was planning on ending our marriage. After work, I saw Ethan slide into her car once again. A few minutes later, her text came in. Something came up at the office. Go ahead, I'll meet you there. I didn't go to the theater. I went straight to a law firm. By the time the credits of her chosen romantic film were rolling, I was signing papers for a divorce agreement. Later that evening, instead of waiting for her in the darkened cinema, I sat alone in a different theater, watching a movie I actually wanted to see. I even treated myself to dinner before heading home, something I hadn't done in years. But when I scrolled through social media, there it was, Ethan's post. A photo at a fancy steakhouse. 2 glasses of red wine. 2 plates of steak. And 2 hands, fingers intertwined across the table. I didn't need to see her face to know. The caption read, "A love that goes both ways is a love that's blessed. Thanks for the special gift, babe." Minutes later, I walked into my own home. Victoria greeted me with a shopping bag in hand. I bought you a tie. See if you like it. This was her routine. Every time she stood me up, every time she betrayed me, she came home with a token gift, expecting me to smile and play along. And every time I had, pretending to be delighted, pretending the smallest effort meant love. But this time, I didn't even look at the bag. Just put it in the closet. She froze, her voice sharp with irritation. Sincere, I know I was wrong to cancel tonight, but I went out of my way to buy you something. What's with this attitude? I looked at the tag still dangling from the tie and said quietly, this was a free promotional gift, wasn't it? Her face flushed with embarrassment and fury. Sincere, who do you think you are? You spend all day in R&D, cooped up in your lab. What do you know about style? I was trying to be nice, and now you're being ungrateful. Fine. Don't take it if you don't want it. I didn't reply. Not a word. I walked into the study, closed the door, and opened the message from my lawyer. The divorce papers were ready. For the first time in years, her anger couldn't touch me. The next morning, she left for work early, another one of her tricks. The silent treatment. Hoping I'd come crawling back, apologizing. I didn't. Instead, I picked up the finalized divorce agreement and headed straight to the office. By lunch, I'd handed off most of my work to the tech team. That's when I saw them again. Victoria and Ethan, sitting together in the cafeteria. Her laugh carried across the room. His hand lingered a little too long on hers. And me? I walked right past, divorce papers in my briefcase, knowing that for the first time in years, I had nothing left to lose. At lunch, I tried to keep my head down, but fate had other plans. Ethan, with that smug confidence, guided Victoria straight to the table beside mine. He peeled a shrimp, held it up to her lips, and cooed, "You're too thin, babe. You need to eat more." Gasps and whispers spread across the cafeteria. Colleagues glanced over, eyes gleaming with envy. CEO Sterling and Mr. Cole, they're so sweet. Even at work, they can't hide their love. Victoria laughed softly, feigning shyness. Ethan knows I have a sensitive stomach. He just wants me to take care of myself. Her words hit harder than I expected. Memories surfaced, of nights when she stumbled home from endless dinners with clients, her stomach wrecked by alcohol and greasy food. Back then, I'd stay up, cooking her light meals, brewing soothing soups, nursing her back to comfort. She never thanked me, never noticed. But Ethan? He peels one shrimp, and suddenly, he's her savior. I force myself to eat in silence. My lack of reaction only seemed to irritate him. He turned toward me, flashing a smile sharp enough to cut. "Oh, Sincere, you're here too." The comment drew everyone's attention. One colleague, grinning, decided to pile on. "Sincere, you're the last single guy in upper management. What kind of girlfriend are you looking for?" I set down my fork, my expression calm but firm. "Do you know someone you could set me up with?" Laughter broke out. Promises of introductions followed. But across the table, Victoria's face twisted in fury. I could feel her glare burning holes through me as I stood and left. That afternoon, a file requiring her signature brought me to her office. I knocked, no answer. The door stood slightly ajar. Assuming she'd stepped out, I pushed it open to leave the papers on her desk. But what I saw froze me where I stood. Victoria, perched on Ethan's lap, her skirt rumpled, her face flushed with heat. My chest tightened, not with surprise, but with a raw, bitter ache. "Victoria." My voice cracked with disgust. "You make me sick." I hurled the file to the floor, ready to walk away. "Sincere, wait. It's not what it looks like." Her words scraped against my ears, the oldest lie in the book. "Not what it looks like?" My laugh was cold, hollow. "Then tell me, what the hell were you doing?" She fumbled to adjust her skirt, but Ethan cut in with venom. "Who are you kidding, Sincere? If you weren't so useless in bed, do you think she'd need me?" His smug words ripped open wounds I hadn't admitted to myself. The past 3 months, her excuses, her distance, her coldness. I thought she was exhausted from work. I gave her space. All I had done was give her cover to cheat. I reached into my briefcase, pulled out the papers I'd planned to show her that evening. "Victoria, I want a divorce." I slammed the agreement onto her desk. Her eyes widened as if I'd spoken in a language she didn't understand. You want to divorce me? If you're unhappy with the terms, we can adjust them. You can have the house, my 5% stake in the company. All I want is 1 million. $1 million. Pocket change compared to what my work had built for her empire. But I didn't care about the money. I only wanted out. She shook her head in disbelief. "On what grounds? I made one little mistake, and you want to throw everything away?" Her shamelessness almost made me laugh. "Sign it now, or I'll proceed with legal action." Ethan tightened his grip on her hand, sneering. "Sincere, stop the act. She doesn't love you. If you're divorcing her, just admit you lost. Then get her to sign." My reply was ice. Victoria yanked her hand free, panic flickering in her eyes. "Sincere, we're still colleagues. We'll see each other every day. Does it really have to end like this?" I hesitated only a moment before answering. "HR already approved my resignation. Today, I'm finishing my handover. We won't see each other again." She snatched the letter from my hands, skimmed it, and flung it to the floor. "You're not allowed to resign. You're not allowed to leave." When I didn't respond, her voice rose to a shriek. "Sincere, are you deaf? Take it back before I change my mind." Ethan jumped in again, desperate to control the scene. "Vicky, if he leaves, who do you think will hire him? He'll be crawling back in no time." His arrogance lit a spark of hope in her eyes. She glared at me, regaining her superiority. "Sincere, if you beg me, I'll shred the resignation letter. Do you hear me?"
Beg.
I looked at them both, my eyes colder than ever. "Victoria, I'm quitting this job and I'm divorcing you. Sign the papers." And with that, I turned and walked out. She chased after me, forgetting who might be watching, her fingers clamping down on my arm. Sincere, please. Let's not get a divorce. I yanked free. Victoria, let's not discuss personal matters at the office. Weren't those your words? The plea in her voice evaporated. She straightened her spine, her tone reverting to the cruel arrogance I knew so well. Sincere, Vance, think carefully. If you walk away now, I'll blacklist you from this industry. No one will hire you again. I couldn't help but laugh. A laugh empty of joy. Do whatever you want. Just sign the divorce papers and set me free. It didn't take long for the news to spread. First whispers, then full-blown gossip. Everyone knew I had resigned. Everyone knew about the divorce. Some pitied me. Some were gleeful. But no one knew the truth. The next morning, I packed my things and moved into the small studio apartment I'd bought before the marriage. My only refuge from the world. Back then, I thought Victoria would be my real home. My safe place. My family. But she had never been that. And now, I was finally done pretending she ever could be. Victoria thought I would come crawling back. She even dragged my mother to my tiny studio apartment, hoping shame would force me home. My mother's voice, sharp as ever, filled the room, scolding me, slapping me, reminding me of how little value she thought I had. Victoria stood beside her, watching coldly, waiting for me to bend. But I didn't. For the first time in years, I stood my ground. This divorce was happening whether they liked it or not. The next day, my phone buzzed. It was Victoria. Her voice was trembling, desperate. There was a problem with the R&D chip, and only I could fix it. At first, I refused. I didn't work there anymore. That was her mess to clean up. But something in her tone, raw panic, made me pause. Against my better judgment, I went back. When I walked into the office, heads turned. Colleagues whispered, shocked that I had returned. Some even rallied behind me, furious at what she had done, trading her husband of 4 years for an assistant she'd only known for 3 months. Still, I pushed past their stares and went straight to the lab. Victoria's face lit up with relief when she saw me. "Can you fix it?" she asked, clinging to hope. I studied the program carefully before answering. "It can be fixed." Her whole body sagged with relief, as if I had just saved her world. But my voice stayed cold. "I'll help you on one condition." Her eyes searched mine. "What condition?" "Sign the divorce papers." The shock on her face was almost theatrical. She begged, pleaded, tried to twist my resolve. But for the first time, I laid it all bare. She hadn't loved me in a long time. She loved the chase, the thrill, the power. My devotion had only been fuel for her games. Now, she only needed me because she couldn't survive without my work. And as those words sank in, Ethan barged in, rage blazing in his eyes. He grabbed my collar, shouting that I had no right to be there. I shoved him off, brushing the dust from my shirt. "Victoria," I said calmly, "I don't want to be disturbed." Her face turned red with fury. She screamed at Ethan to leave. Because deep down, even she knew, if the chip failed, the company would collapse. She might not have loved me, but she trusted me more than she trusted him. When the work was done, she offered me a ride home. I refused. "Just sign the papers," I told her. That night, the signed divorce agreement arrived at my door. She had chosen Ethan, of course. She always would. But this time, I no longer cared. I had finally chosen myself. Victoria kept trying to pull me back into her orbit. Every excuse, every gesture felt like a desperate attempt to rewind time. She even suggested I move back in, saying it would be easier for her to drive me to and from work. I shut her down immediately. That was no longer my home. The next day, she appeared in my office with a glossy lunchbox. "It's all your favorites," she said softly, urging me to eat while it was hot. I didn't even look at her. My eyes stayed locked on the screen. The logo on the bag told me everything. It was from that expensive restaurant she used to take Ethan to. "Next time you go there with him," I muttered, "don't bother bringing anything for me." For a moment, she looked wounded. Then, forcing a smile, she insisted, "I bought this for you, not him." I finally lifted my eyes, steady and cold. Then you shouldn't have bothered. We don't have a relationship anymore. Her face faltered. Even if we're divorced, can't we at least be friends? No, I said flatly. I don't see the point. Her pride had never allowed her to beg before. Now, standing there, awkward and small, she hesitated until I called her back. Hope flickered in her eyes, as if she thought I was softening. Instead, I told her, "Take your lunch with you." The color drained from her face. She slammed the bag shut, stormed out, and slammed the door. But I didn't flinch. For years, I had poured every ounce of myself into her. She knew exactly what I wanted, and she never gave it. She believed I'd never walk away. Now, she was learning how wrong she was. In the days that followed, she kept showing up with little gifts, things I had once mentioned wanting. Things she refused to buy when we were together. I sent them all back unopened. They meant nothing to me now. On the final day of repairs, she tried one last time, offering to take me out to dinner. Before I could answer, Ethan jumped in, sneering, questioning whether I'd even fix the chip correctly. His voice was laced with suspicion, his words dripping with venom. But for the first time, Victoria turned on him. "That's enough, Ethan," she snapped in front of everyone. "If you speak like that again, you're off the project entirely." It was the first time she had ever defended me. Ethan's face burned with humiliation, but I felt nothing. I wasn't there to relive the past. I was there to finish my work and leave. Days later, I started my new job. A boss who valued me, a team that respected me. It felt like breathing fresh air after drowning for years. But peace never lasts long. A video surfaced online. Ethan, standing in front of cameras, accusing me of stealing company secrets. His words spread fast, painting me as a thief, a disgrace. For a moment, I just stared at the screen, then shut it off. I wasn't going to be dragged into a circus. Instead, I went straight to the police and filed charges for slander. My new company stood beside me, releasing a statement welcoming any investigation. The truth was on my side. By the next morning, Victoria's company had been forced to clean up his mess, publicly clarifying that I had left properly, that Ethan's accusations were lies. Soon after, the police hauled him in. That night, Victoria appeared at my door again, holding a box. Inside was our old relationship journal, pages filled with promises, laughter, the dreams of two people who thought love would last forever. Now it read like a cruel joke. "You can keep it," I said, handing it back. Her eyes glistened. "No, sincere, please. I know I was wrong. Just give me one more chance. We were happy once, weren't we?" Her voice trembled, clinging to memories that had long lost their meaning. But to me, they weren't treasures. They were reminders of how deeply she had cut me. "There's no going back, Victoria. I don't love you anymore. No matter how many times you ask, the answer will always be the same." She stared at me as if the ground beneath her had given way. Then the screaming started. "You promised you'd always take care of me. We can start over. We can even have a baby." I almost laughed at the cruelty of it. Years ago, I had begged her to start a family. She accused me of being small-minded, of lacking ambition. Now, after our divorce, she wanted to dangle the very thing she once used to wound me. "I don't want a child with you," I said quietly. And in that moment, she broke, sobbing, desperate, undone. "Sincere, you once loved me so much. Even if I made mistakes, don't I deserve forgiveness? Just once? I'll prove to you, you're the only one in my heart." Her voice cracked, but I'd run out of patience for her desperate theater. "Victoria," I said coldly, "if you don't leave now, I'll call the police." That was the last line she heard before I blocked her on everything. My new company took care of me, even giving me a 2-bedroom apartment closer to the office. It felt like stepping into a brand new life. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I could finally start over. Half a month later, as I was walking through the parking garage after work, I saw her waiting. She stepped into my path like a shadow I couldn't shake. "Sincere, I ended things with Ethan. I fired him. We'll never see each other again." I brushed past her hand, my voice flat. That has nothing to do with me. And then, out of nowhere, Ethan appeared. He grabbed her arm, his voice raw with desperation. Vicky, you told me in bed that you loved me most. You can't do this, marry me. She shoved him away with all her strength. Ethan, listen to me. I don't love you. I never will. Sincere divorced me because of you. I won't marry you. I had no interest in watching their chaos unravel. I got in my car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I caught a final glimpse of them, locked in a struggle, screaming in the dim light of the garage. After that, Ethan's obsession spiraled. He haunted her company, begged her, harassed her, then finally turned to revenge. He leaked every private photo he had ever taken of their affair. Overnight, Victoria's empire crumbled. Her company's stock plummeted, her reputation shredded. And yet, even through the wreckage, she never gave Ethan what he wanted. The last time I heard his name, it was on the evening news. He had stabbed her. He was arrested, sentenced to 10 years in prison. A year later, my own life looked very different. I married a woman I met through a colleague. No drama. No endless games. Just a quiet, steady happiness. Our days were simple, but for me, simplicity felt like freedom. One evening after dinner, my phone rang. The line was silent at first. Then a voice, fragile, trembling, but unmistakable. Sincere Vance. It was Victoria. Please don't hang up. I just wanted to say something before I go. The doctors, they say I have stomach cancer. Terminal. Her words fell like stones, but my heart didn't move. I see, I said calmly. Then you should spend your time wisely, with your doctors, with whatever life you have left. She broke down, sobbing. I wronged you, Sincere. I wasted your love, thinking it would never run dry. I knew what you wanted, but I had to control everything. And now, I regret it. I regret it more than anything. Can you forgive me? Just once. I closed my eyes for a moment, but when I spoke, my voice was steady. The past is in the past. I stopped caring a long time ago. If there's nothing else, don't call again. I hung up. From the kitchen, my wife came out, wiping her hands. Who was that? I smiled at her. Just an old colleague. Nothing important. She nodded, sat beside me, and we pressed play on the movie we had planned to watch. As the screen flickered to life, I leaned back and let the warmth of that moment sink in. Happiness is fragile, fleeting even. But unlike before, I had learned something. I couldn't promise forever, but I could promise today. And I would live every single one to the fullest.